My name is Alex Carter, and I'm 24. I lived in a small town called Brookfield, Illinois. A town where everyone knows everyone else, and news spreads faster than autumn leaves in the wind. I loved Amber. She was my sun, my world, my future. We had been dating for 4 years, dreaming of a home together, kids, and porch evenings with lemonade in hand. And I had a best friend, Nick Holden. We had been inseparable since we were 8. We played football together, fought and made up together, grew up side by side. I trusted him more than myself. And then, at the end of June, when the air was already shimmering with the promise of summer, everything fell apart. It started small. I noticed Amber disappearing in the evenings. She said she had to work late, that there were deadlines, projects. And I believed her. Because when you love, you believe. But one evening, Nick himself called me and suggested we meet at the Silver Moon bar. We sat on old wooden stools, drinking beer, and I noticed his hands trembling. "Alex," he began, swallowing hard, "there's something I have to tell you." I clenched my glass so tightly the ice rattled. I slept with Amber. My heart stopped. As if someone had cut the strings holding it together. "It just happened," Nick whispered. "We were drunk. I swear. I swear I regret it every second." I stood up and left. I couldn't breathe. The air was suffocating, the walls closing in. The next day I met with Amber. She cried, swearing it was a mistake, that it meant nothing, that she loved me. That she wanted to be with me. And I forgave her. Like a fool, I forgave her. I tried to forget. We even planned a wedding. But inside me, something rotted. Like a dead fish on the shore, imperceptibly but inevitably. First unexpected twist. A month later, I accidentally stumbled upon messages on her phone. There was more. More betrayals. Not just with Nick. With several of his friends. Even his cousin. This time my heart didn't just stop. It shattered into pieces. Second twist. I decided to play a game. Pretend I didn't know. And weave my web. I acted as if I was ready to forgive. We even went on a vacation to Lake Tahoe. There, among the silence and the water, I prepared a surprise. I invited all her lovers to a big celebration, under the guise of an engagement party. When they gathered, I stepped up with a microphone. "Today, I want to thank all these people for showing me who is truly by my side," I said, displaying the photos and messages on a giant screen. Amber stood as white as a sheet. Her hands trembling. Nick stared at the floor. After that night, I left Brookfield. Third twist. But the story didn't end there. 6 months later, I got a call. Nick had taken his own life. In his suicide note was my name. He wrote that he couldn't forgive himself for what he had done. That he had lost everything, his friend, himself, his meaning. Guilt gnawed at me for a long time. I returned to Brookfield and left a letter at Nick's grave. "You were my brother. I forgive you. Goodbye." After that night, I left Brookfield, leaving behind the shattered remains of my old life. I thought it was over. I thought I had forgotten. But memories are like ghosts. They come at night, whispering your name when you're at your weakest. 6 months passed. One cold November morning, the phone rang, pulling me out of sleep. "This concerns Nick Holden," the voice on the other end was dry and official. "We're sorry to inform you. He took his own life." It hit me like a punch to the chest. In his suicide note was my name. Alex, I couldn't forgive myself. I betrayed everything sacred to me. I hope you'll find trust again someday, and forgive me. I sat there in silence for a long time, listening to the wind tapping against the window like someone trying to break into my world. That evening, I drove back to Brookfield. I stood at the old cemetery under a massive oak tree, where they had buried Nick. The winter wind howled around me as I held a letter in my hand. I placed it gently on his grave. You were my brother. You made mistakes. So did I. I forgive you, Nick. But most of all, I must learn to forgive myself. I walked away without looking back. Behind me, the wind rose, lifting leaves and carrying my letter high into the sky. And for the first time in a long time, I felt lighter. But deep inside, there remained a crack, a silent reminder that even the greatest love can turn to poison. And betrayal isn't the end of the story. It's only the beginning.